Mishnah Yud. מי שיצא בערב שבת, somebody walked Friday night, לילך לערב, to walk to the evening, בעיר שמערבים בה, to a city that you make an Eruv in it, ויש גורסים שמערבים לה, that you make an Eruv for the city. כלומר, what does it mean? What's the case? בני עירו, this is the case, that the people of the city, שלחו להניח פת לעירוב בסוף תחום העיר. He says, look, go 2,000 amah outside the city limit and put bread over there for all of us. You're a representative of us. Why? כדי שיוכלו ללך מחר לעיר שדרכם לערב לה. So that we can walk tomorrow to the next city over. שהיא סמוכה לעירה כ4,000 amah. That is close 4,000 amah from our city. ויכולים ללך לשם בשבת על ידי עירוב. And they're allowed to go to this place through an Eruv. Now comes, listen to the thing, it's brilliant. He started to walk. And on the way, he stopped. He didn't walk. He had a nice conversation about the new iPhone with his friend. You know, and all of a sudden he said, I'm never going to make it before Shabbat. My wife is waiting for Kiddush. So I'm not walking. He was walking like a third of the way he went. He says, I'm going back home. My wife is waiting for Kiddush. Forget these guys.
So he didn't do the job.
He didn't do the job. והחזירו חברו, and his friend returned him. כגון, for example, שיעץ לו שלא ללכת עכשיו. He says, you crazy? You going out now? מחמת מזג האוויר רע. It's raining, it's thunder. Don't go now. Don't be crazy. It's too dangerous. There's a big storm coming up. So look what's happened. He had an intention, and he carried bread. Right? And he carried bread. So now, he was an ani on the way. Right? We said there's an opinion that whether you have bread, where you don't have bread, when you walk on the way, you're an ani. And he had an intention, and he has an intention to put it right over there. So when you're a poor person, and you're on the way, we give you a leniency. What's the leniency? That you can claim that place.
The place without the food.
Without the food. Very good. So you can claim that place without the food. So look what happens. Hu mutar lilech. If he wants to go the next day to the neighboring town, he's allowed to go to the neighboring town because he bought something over there. בשבת אותה עיר, שהואיל והחזיק בדרך, because he had to start the way. He had to start on the way and be able to reach there before Shabbat. And he started on the way, and he was able to reach there before Shabbat. שהתחיל ללכת לסוף תחום העיר, כדי לקנות שביתה שם. He had the intention to buy 2,000 amah away from the city. הרי דינו כמי שבא בדרך. It is just like a person who's walking on the way, ואמר שביתתי במקום פלוני, and he says, I am going to be on the other side. And for him there's a leniency. We say, since he's on the way, the rabbis gave him a leniency to do it. But the rabbi gave a leniency to whom? Only to travelers. Only to travelers.
Now there are no travelers.
Oh, that's going to be the problem. He is allowed to. They probably are not going to allow to. אבל וכל פני העיר, what about all the people of the city? So even though he is an Eruv, all people of the city, they don't have this leniency because they were not travelers. אבל כל פני העיר שלא החזיקו בדרך, because since they were not considered to be travelers, אלא סמכו על העירוב שהוא יניחה בשבילם, they were relying on the עירוב that's going to be there, they're going to be אסורים, they cannot travel. They're going to be prohibited. It's very funny, for him it's allowed and for everybody it's not, and he's the one who makes the עירוב. ללך לשם. שהואיל ולא הונח עירובם בסוף תחומם, since their עירוב was not placed in the end, in other words, they were not travelers, they were people of the city, we made a leniency for them, but now they're stuck with the leniency. It says, you didn't put the food, that's it, you're done. לא קנו שם שביתה, they did not buy Shabbat over there, ואין להם אלא 2,000 אמah לכל רוח מעירם, and they only can go 2,000 אמah, they cannot go to the neighboring city. כדינר מרגיל בזמן שהם מערבים. Like in the regular time that they're not doing an Eruv. This is the words of Rabbi Yehuda. We understand the logic, good logic, and we're happy.
The first guy, he was a traveler?
once you're on the way, you consider to be a traveler. So once you started walking, I don't care how much money you have, you're a traveler. And there's a leniency that you can claim something by knowledge, as long as you can get there before Shabbat. And he could get there before Shabbat. He was just talking about iPhones when he wasn't supposed to.
They won't let him go next week because he messed up this week.
Obviously, they're not going to let him go next week. דברי רבי יהודה, the words of Rabbi Yehuda, שלדעת רבי יהודה, because according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, כל שהחזיק בדרך, once you start, it's important, he had to start on the way. He had to start going, he had to start moving out. והלך כדי לקנות שביתה במקום מסוים, and you had to have the intention to buy שביתה over there, אף על פי שלא הגיע לשם, even though he did not reach there, ואפילו לא אמר שביתתי במקום פלני, even if he did not declare, this is my place, מכל מקום, nevertheless, כיוון שגמר בליבו לקנות, since that was his intention, everybody knows that that was his intention, לקנות שלו ושם, והחזיק בדרך, and he started to go, the important part, קנה שם שביתה, he already bought there שבת. רבי מאיר אומר, רבי מאיר says, כל שהוא יכול לערב בפת ולא ירעב, רבי מאיר says, if he had the ability to put bread over there, to put a meal over there, and he didn't put a meal, יש מפרשים, there are those who explain, כל שהוא יכול לערב על ידי שיאמר שביתתי במקום פלוני. In other words, some say, the first opinion that we just learned, you don't need to declare. You just have the intention. Over here, some say, no, you need to actually declare it. Your intention is not enough. ולא אמר, הרי זה חמר גמל. This is a donkey driver, a camel driver. We already had this discussion before. What does it mean, a donkey driver, a camel driver? It means that we're going to cut him off from both sides. He's going to lose on both sides. What does it mean? Usually when you carry a donkey, the donkey is in front of you. And a camel, you pull after you. So it says, you're stuck between the two systems. He says, you're going to be stuck. You're going to lose on this system, and now you're going to lose on this system. You will have a little portion that the two systems meet that you can use for yourself, but that's it. It's very little. Let's see what it says. כאדם הנוהג בחמר ובגמל כאחד והוא בין שניהם. This is like a person who takes a donkey and a camel together, and he's between them. שנמצא החמור מושכו לפנים, the donkey takes him from in front, והגמל לאחור, and the camel from the back. אף זה אינו יכול ללכת בשבת, אלא 2,000 אמה. Also this one, we're not going to let him go all the way to the next city. Why not? שבין עירו ובין המקום שנתכוון לקנות שם שביתה אמה. We're only going to let him go until the Eruv and no more. שכן, why? ספק לו לרבי מאיר. Rabbi Meir says, I'm not sure what's happening over here. I'm not sure where he bought shvita. I'm not sure what's happening. What's the safek? היכן מקום שביתתו? It says, I'm not 100% sure where he is during this Shabbat. It says, why? אם במקום שרצה להניח את העירוב, I see what Rabbi Yehuda said. Yeah? It's Rabbi Yehuda said before? Yeah. I see what Rabbi Yehuda says. He says, Rabbi Yehuda saying that since he had the intention, he bought this place. Whether he talked, whether he doesn't talk, it doesn't matter. He bought this place. I can see it. It's not like I don't see what you're saying. I agree with you. הואיל ויצא מביתו והחזיק בדרך. You're saying he's a poor person. He went on the way. He started. I can see your logic. ונמצא שאין לו 2,000 אמה לכל רוח מאירו, אלא מקום שביתתו. So then we're going to say that this is the place, and then he can reach the other places. But do you know what? I can see the other opinion also. What's the other opinion? אם בביתו, maybe you don't say that his shvita, that he wanted Shabbat in that place. Maybe you say his Shabbat is where? Is at home. Why? שהואיל ויכול היה לערב בפת, because he had the opportunity to go and take it, and he didn't do it. I don't care what the reason is. He had the opportunity, he started on the way, and he had it, and he didn't do it. Maybe it means that he doesn't want it. In other words, it means that he's at home. He says, why did you decide that he had the intention to be there? Obviously, if he had the intention to be there, he would have been there. He didn't have the intention to be there. He had the intention to be at home. I'm not sure. He says, maybe you're right. I'm not saying you're wrong, he says. but since I have a doubt, now he also can't go. You might be right, I'm not saying you're wrong 100%. ולא עירב, לא קנה שביתה בסוף תחום העיר, therefore he doesn't have that place as for Shabbat, ונמצא שאינו יכול לצאת מתחום העיר לצד אותה העיר שרצה לערב לה, and therefore even he cannot walk to the next city. ולפי פירוש רש"י שהבנו לעיל, and according to Rashi that we brought before, I don't want to get into this, it's again this conversation, did he need to declare or not need to declare, two opinions, does he actually need to say it or just have the intentions? כיוון שלא אמר שביתתי במקום פלוני, since he didn't declare it, that was the problem. ספק לו לרבי מאיר אם דעתו היה לקנות שביתה בסוף התחום. But if he would have declared it, then for sure I know that was his intention. Now, the only in other words, some say I don't care if he declared or not declared, it's not. Some say only if he didn't declare, it's not. Okay. או שחזר בו וקנה שביתו בביתו. So according to Rabbi Meir is not completely disagreeing. He says, I can see your logic, I might agree with you, but there's a doubt. There's a doubt. באנו משנתנו לפי הרמב"ם והרב מברטנורה. We explain this Mishnah according to the Rambam and according to the Bartenura. אבל יש מפרשים אותה על פי הגמרא. But there are those who explain this Mishnah completely different according to the Gemara. כגון, for example, שיש לו שני בתים ובניהם שני תחומי שבת. We're talking about, the Gemara says, we're talking about a particular case. You have two houses, one in Tucson, one in Green Valley, close to each other, 4,000 amma, let's say, close to each other. But it's only talking about somebody who dwells in, he has a house here and he has a house there. שהיא סמוכה לו כ4,000 אמה, ואפשר ללך מזו לזו על ידי עירוב, and he will be able to go from one town to the other town if there was an Eruv in between them. והוא יצא בערב שבת מבעוד יום ללך לביתו שבעיר האחרת ולשבות שם בשבת. ערב שבת he's decided to go from the town on the east. He says, I'm going to stay on the town of the west. That was his intention, to go and stay in the town in the west. ולא שיצא מביתו כדי לקנות שביתה בסוף התחום ולחזור. In other words, it says, it's not talking about the case we're thinking about over here. The Mishnah is discussing a case where the guy was trying to travel from one house to another house. He didn't want to put the thing on the way.
He's not going to make an error.
He's not making to make an error.
He's going to another house.
That's right. אלא כדי ללכת לעיר אחרת. And then what happened? החזירו חברו. And then his friend, he talked on the way and he talked to his friend. ומתוך כך אמר, שביתתי במקום פלוני. And then he says, you know what? I want to camp in that place. I knew where I want to camp. I want to camp in the middle of the two cities. That's what I want to take Shabbat on. Why does he do that? He says, maybe on Shabbat I would like to go to my other house. Tomorrow. Yeah? Today I'm going to be here, but tomorrow I want to be over there. כדי שיוכל ללכת מחר לעיר שבעיר הסמוכה, לביתו שבסדת, he can walk to his house in the neighboring city. הוא מותר ללך למחר לאותה עיר. He is allowed to go to that town, to his next town, because he made an Eruv. שהואיל והחזיק בדרך, because he started walking there. ויש לו בית שם, and he has a house over there. הרי הוא כמי שבא בדרך, ללך לביתו וחשכה לו. We're going to consider him somebody who comes on the way and it becomes dark. And it says in such a situation, he's allowed to say, 2,000 amma is the city limit. I want right on the city limit to be there as long as I can be there. So that's what we're going to consider him like this guy. ששנינו לעיל, שאם אמר שביתתי במקום פלוני, קנה שם שביתה, ויכול ללכת במקום הגנב הבא מהפעם. And he put his dwelling place exactly between the two cities. So now he can walk in between the two. Because he's just like a guy who got caught Erev Shabbat. That's exactly what happened over there. He got caught Erev Shabbat.
כן, אבל he went back after to his house.
Yeah.
He didn't stay in the desert there or wherever he was. He went back to his house.
Yeah.
Friday night, he eat and do everything.
But is he allowed to?
I don't know how far he went from there.
He's within 2,000 amma from the place.
Yeah, allowed.
So it says he's just like a person who got caught on the way. That's how I'm going to consider him. I'm going to consider him a person who got caught on the way. Since he's a person who got caught on the way, he's allowed to use this 2,000 amma trick. Yeah. I want to be there. He's on the way. He's got caught, so I'm using it. But
he didn't go there.
but he's
He
allowed
didn't
to.
run there, he went back to his house.
That's right, but he's allowed to, because he's on the way, and he got caught before Shabbat. וכל בני העיר, but the entire cities of the people, כלומר חבריו שהחזרהו, his friends that returned him, אף על פי שאמרו לו שהם רוצים ללך עמו מחר לאותה עיר, even though they told him, we want to walk together with you to that place, ומתוך כך אמרו הם, in other words, according to the Gemara, the fact that even though he wasn't there, is good for anybody that wants to go with him. So if those friends would have said, we're going to walk with you tomorrow, don't come back, and he came back on his own, they can walk with him tomorrow also. But because they told him, don't go there, they're showing that they don't want to do the Eruv. But he had the intention to do the Eruv. So that's how the Gemara... They cannot go. That's the way they learn it. Yeah. That's in the Gemara.
But they can go the next day, right?
They cannot.
Oh, okay.
Because they say, we don't want it. תהא שביתתנו באותו מקום מסוים שקניית שם שביתתך, אסורים ללכת חוץ לתחום העיר, because they said, we don't want it, come back. לפי שהם לא יצאו מביתם על מלך ללכת, because they never went out to go to another city. ואף לא על מות לקנות שביתה בסוף התחום, they didn't, and they went caught on the way. הילקח דינם כעשירים, therefore they are like עשיר. עשיר ain't got nothing to do with money. Yeah, עשיר is somebody who's using somebody else, and he has to put a pot over there, and they didn't put a pot over there, they're done. שאין אמירתם שביתתנו במקום פלוני מעולה להם. Even though they want to be with him, they cannot be with him. והרי הם כבני עירם, they are just like the people of the cities, שיש להם 2,000 אמה לכל רוח מהעיר. So the Gemara discusses this is a completely different case, nothing to do with us, but not nothing to do, a little bit to do with us, but it's not like we learned it.